Retired Captain Omar Aliyu joins us to look at some of those issues raised there in that report. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, the governors there did say that, Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, they all have elections. So it's not a question of whether or not we'll have elections, but safety of those people. So how does that sink in for you? Yes, they say, look, it's a given. They assume it's a given. They will have elections in those states. What do you think of that?
Well, I greet their confidence with a lot of concern. And the reasons I have these concerns are, it's not about whether elections will hold or will not hold, but can elections hold there safely, given the antecedents of that area in the last 2-3 years? As the executive governor said, elections have held elsewhere. But even then, if elections are going to hold, can we truly and sincerely say in the next 37 days, given the experience, the traumatized experience of the people in that place, we can actually build confidences up to a stage where 2 weeks to D-Day, law enforcement agencies, the electorate, the election team, INEC, can come to say this place is secure and is in the mood for elections?
Because I think INEC, if I remember properly, the last time out, they did say, well, we will act on advice based on security.
You know, there was Ishmael Ibani says they will go there if the coast is clear. If the coast is clear itself is vague, it's ambiguous, what will add up to the coast being clear? Okay? If you look at Borno State, Yobe State, and the third state where we have these challenges, I would have expected us to have started preparing for what we are doing now, like 6-9 months ago. We should have projected, if there was a plan, that this can be achieved before now, and having achieved X, Y, Z at so time, will they be ready for elections?
Because when they give examples of Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan having elections, and so we should have elections, but the safety of the people, one wonders what they discussed in that meeting as well. Do those areas use the kind of template of ad hoc staff that we use? For instance, will the ad hoc staff here be willing to get to those areas? And then how long will it take for those areas? Will they be properly policed? Will there be enough security? So,
yeah, security-wise, if you want to compare or you want to say because elections have held there, they should hold here. It's like trying to say sight and insight are the same. They are not. I'll tell you why. If I were in position and I had the commander-in-chiefs go ahead to look at the feasibility of holding elections in those 3 states, I would have probably jumped at this window of opportunity that has just opened momentarily and will soon close. I would have jumped at that window of opportunity, which simply is, can I begin to use these 3 states as the first prototype states for virtual elections in Nigeria? Can I begin to see a Nigeria where we can test run the possibility of people voting on their phones from these 3 states and see where we can take it from there going forward?
Wouldn't that be overreaching ourselves?
No, people vote Big Brother in and out on their phones.
But there are multiple, how do you counter multiple votes? Because, I mean, the politicians have been asking to amend the laws. Nigerians have been saying, look, what's going on with electronic voting? And they don't seem to trust it.
The political will to do it is not there. They don't trust it because it's actually going to do away with a lot of intrigues. It's going to do away with a lot of sharp practices that are possible. But I tell you that the challenges we see today are actually wake-up calls. They actually point us to how we can do it better. So what we should be doing now is we should be asking ourselves, what can we do differently in those 3 states to make the elections successful? Let me put it to you, pop and plain. You can drag horses to the river, but how many can you force to drink? Set up your polling booths, do what you have to do. You may probably even have some of your polling crew staff not even turning up on that day. Talk less of the people. Look at it this way, you're going to have a whole day dedicated to voting. You're going to cluster people up in large numbers who are going to wait. You don't vote in 2 seconds. So you're going to be having what people...
That can be soft.
Exactly.
Target.
They are vulnerable. What particularly are you going to do differently that will make their plight, that will make their security different from that of those that have been operating there with these insurgents for the last 2 years? We've seen military installations sacked. So what do you want the people to think of a polling booth? How much more fortified can a polling booth be put beside, a military installation? The success of the elections today, in my own way or in my own head, is not a function of the service chiefs, what they do or what they do not do. It's a function of how innovative INEC can become. Okay, we have to do a cost-benefit analysis here. We have to look at our strengths and our weaknesses, then find somewhere in between there and get people to vote.
Whatever INEC proposes, let's even look ahead or be, because if we are being hypothetical, if INEC comes up with a proposal, it has to go to the National Assembly. They've got to approve it.
Yes.
Do we have that time?
Of course, if we could have approved 11 trillion in such a little time and it disappeared in even less time, what are you saying, Chamberlain? The exigency of this situation is such that we should be able to put all the polemics, all the semantics, and all the bureaucracy aside. Some 3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, someone somewhere from Asia, is it Malaysia, a gentleman came in here, and I think, may I use the word auditioned? Governor Fashola auditioned him or something like that. He brought a device that was meant to actually help us vote electronically. You should be able to vote from your sitting room. You should be able to vote from your office. We don't have to shut one whole day down in a nation to vote. Our economic life, our social life, our political life should be able to run in tandem while we're at it.
As you rightly say, the ideals, I mean, even in places where the infrastructure could have maybe been able to support it, the laws don't support it. And so, we're stuck with what we have. We still have...
No, we're not stuck with what we have.
Well, what I mean is, for now, that is not what we're planning for the 2015 general elections. What we're planning is that people will still go out, queue, thumbprint, submit, and that's the process we're still planning, just how we did it in 2011. The only difference is that we're looking at using cards this time around and possibly employing the help of card readers to ensure that you're actually authentic voter. We're looking at what it is that you're saying. How feasible is it, considering, as Chamberlain rightly raised, how feasible is it considering, first of all, the constraint of the law, which you say is no constraint, and then secondly, the lack of infrastructure, because you do know that for electronic voting to be able to happen, we must have certain infrastructure to help make it happen.
I agree with you. These things, as far as I'm concerned, are seeming. I'll tell you something about willpower. I was in this country when we hosted the world in 90 days. Yes. Is it the Koja Games we called it, or Kora Games? And I was in this country again when we responded so swiftly to this Ebola thing. Very swiftly indeed. Still within the same institutions, still within the same infrastructures that are probably skeletal, if I could describe our infrastructure. And I'm telling you that if today I had the task of running what I call a test run, a prototype, with 3 states, it definitely is not going to be as massive as doing it across 36 states. And as I told you, it's not about having a security meeting 37 days or so to D-Day. It's about being able to have projected where this will go, like 6 months ago. You see, there's one thing we can all agree to here. Yes, elections we hold, in quotes, but are you sure the electorate will come out and vote? Or are you going to drag them out of their houses to come and die? Nobody is being told, this is what we've done, this is how we want to secure you, these are the safety nets. XYZ is taking ownership of your safety at each polling booth. We get high-powered meetings.
We thought there's always this talk about keeping some of these things under wraps. By the time you reveal them, well, you put the person in harm's way.
No. Let me tell you something. We have a culture of actually shying away from very, very fundamental security matters by saying they have to be kept under wraps for security reasons. But again, for security reasons, people have to know that they can actually walk into that place, vote, and come out alive. There is nothing wrong with building confidence levels by making people understand that X, Y, Z has been done. We're telling you it is on ground doesn't mean we're telling you how it is going to be done. I've seen very sensitive occasions worldwide across this globe held, and before then you're even going to be looking at a panel, a press briefing, where people will be telling you what they are doing and who is taking ownership of what. Some even take you as far as locations and show you what is on ground. So if you said for security reasons you were not going to bring about building confidence levels, then you are not definitely asking people to come and vote.
Yeah, you also have this little problem of people saying that, the security agencies were also probably optimistic that we would have been able to bring this down to a certain level before we now begin to talk about elections, and that many people will be back in their places of abode. So, for instance, now we're talking about IDPs and we're talking about people who, have had to go back. Do you think that we've done pretty well in terms of ensuring that people are back in their places of abode, or how do you see the elections happening in the IDP camps?
The IDP camps themselves are not home per se. The IDP camps are just like temporary abodes. Mm-hmm. So you have people there, they're living under, well, not normal conditions per se, even though the basic offices of nature, as in food, water, shelter, are being provided. But that is not a normal kind of life to live. And these people have to now vote. I really want to get something straight here. How would you feel if you were actually coming to my house for a party and you probably got there and there were no chairs to sit on?
Turn it to a cocktail
party.
It turned into a cocktail party. What if there were no even drinks to have? So basically, if you're asking people to come and vote, they must be in a particular frame of mind that should be able to say, hey, look, you'll be surprised you go to those camps and people will just sit and be looking at you. And they will wonder, what the hell is this man coming here for? Is voting our immediate problem?